Wow. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Revival League Season 2 Close Qualifiers Round 5. My name is Retro, and this is the final game of Close Qualifiers Round 5 that we will be seeing, and equally, the final game of Close Qualifiers period that we will be seeing. So, the next time that you see this stream go live, the next time that you see me go live on the stream, it will be in the regular season, and it most likely will not be containing either of these teams, or for that matter, any of the teams that we've seen so far in these qualifiers, because we will be casting the Champions League more than likely. So most likely you will not be seeing any more of these teams unless there's, a really special game that's going on, or we have more than enough casters to cast both games, or, it's the playoffs and a couple of these teams that are in the Premier League have managed to put themselves into those playoff spots at the end of the season. But all of that is very, very far and away, and the standings of the Premier League, or rather the seeds into the Premier League, have not been finalized just yet. And the game that we have here on Clubhouse as our final one between Rebuild and Shortest Possible Route will be determining which of these teams actually gets to place within the Premier League. Because at the moment, they sit at slightly uncomfortable 6th and 7th place, which does put them just into Premier League, but a couple of games are still ongoing. A few games have started a little bit ago. Some are starting right now as this one is, and there's still a couple to play after this one has already been in motion. So none of this has been decided just yet. And even after this game is over, the results could still vary about whether either of these teams really make it into the Premier League. So it will be coming down to the tiebreakers or the BH points or the round difference. So it's going to be a messy couple of hours after all of these games conclude. And at around midnight, we will have the final scores and the final placements. So stay tuned on to all of our social media to find those out, as well as, of course, OPL, to find out any final standings. But without any further ado, our final matchup here between Rebuild and Shortest Possible Route is a go on Clubhouse. They are going for the basement defense first and foremost. Rebuild. Hudson making very, very quick work of these drones, or rather going out for a little bit of a run out. Very easy drone, very risk-free to go for that run out, and taking care of that drone and reducing some of that information from Shortest Possible Route is definitely going to be very, very big, especially come later in the round when that information becomes crucial. And of course, the fewer information that they have and the fewer information that they are allowed to have throughout the round, of course, should Hudson do more to stop them, is definitely going to be good. Now, this roam inside of Garage with Maiko playing on top of those rafters and Hudson to keep close is one that is very, very dangerous for a lot of attacking teams, and this is exactly why Hudson, with a run out on that Solace from that CCTV wall, gets two very important frags. And the same as we do tend to be seeing whenever he goes for that run out is taking care of at least one Harbinger. We've seen him take out both quite a lot, but even though he only took out one and they still have that ace, he took out what is a lot of the time the most favorable Harbinger for that vertical play to take care of those hatches. But also the sledge is very, very crucial for a lot of that vertical play as well. A lot of the self-destruction, grenades, very, very important operator across the board. Jag finally finds the trade and the refrag onto Maiko to take care of the player playing in those rafters, cut down his time wasting as they've already wasted half the round. Julio, meanwhile, finding his way ever so close to sight, but it's Charlie J to reduce his push from inside of Moto. And now with the diffuser cold on the ground all the way inside of Garage, or rather on that Garage door, SBR are looking not so good for wear in this 2 versus 4. The time dwindling away, them sort of scrambling to try and find something to salvage of this round. One player at the bottom of the main stairs, one player trying to push into kitchen. Or guilty. That's fine one. Opens up the door a little bit more for this round. But as that Vulcan canister gets blown up at the bottom of those stairs, it's going to be even harder for them to try and do anything. There goes a logic bomb deployed to try and find somebody out, or to try to keep them from swinging out. Wall does get opened up onto those black boxes, so that could be a potential in, but it's that TCSG that packs such a punch to pick up the final 2 kills of the round, with the first one on the board for Rebuild, and start this game off really, really well for them. They were looking good, they were looking strong. If they keep this up, they could just be the team to knock SPR out of the Premier League, which would, of course, be very, very, very sour for them. So, hopefully for SPR, they are able to bring this back and not let this, go too far without them really bouncing back. We've seen teams kind of let it get away for a little bit and then having to try and scramble a comeback, a 4-0 comeback or God forbid a 6-0 comeback. So hopefully SPR are able to cut that down in the bud and not let them run away with this one. Of course, it's only round 1, so that is going to be quite a tall feat for them to try and actually achieve. And the Rebuild, of course, they aren't going up against the easiest of opponents here. If you remember SPR from the early rounds of Open Qualifiers, you might be thinking, wow, well, they're kind of an easy opponent, but they've absolutely not been an easy opponent so far in these close qualifiers. And even in the late rounds of the Open Qualifiers, they've definitely fixed a lot of the mistakes that we saw in the early rounds, and they're a force to be reckoned with for sure. That's a interesting lineup there from Hudson here on this window. He's just waiting. I do believe he's waiting for Jag the Sledge to get up on that window, break it, and then he is just able to shoot him right up in the head. Or he's waiting not necessarily for Jag the Sledge, but really anybody, as the rest of SPR is looking to go for a bit of an attack here on to CCTV, as of course it's an extended roam from Rebuild. It's the way that this site tends to get set up from a lot of teams. Hutch taking a lot of damage. Not entirely sure where from. Julio also on a sliver of HP. I think that I was gonna say I think that might be from a self nade, but I think it was actually from vertical angles from Maiko. That would be my guess anywhere. It might have been an engagement between Hudson and him that got them both to very low HP, but of course that engagement does leave this main stairs vacated, so the position that Hudson was playing right up on that window that could just kill Julio there isn't actually going to be finding anything for now. But Nelson could be. He's the one staring down that window, but he will also not be finding anything as Julio makes his way safely up onto the rooftop. But again, these engagements are going to start coming in here on the side of CCTV, as of course teams love to do this extended roam. It gives them so much more map control, and it makes it so much harder for teams to attack. Charlie J picks up the first kill with that shotgun. Close range, very, very difficult to try and counter that, no matter who you are, and even if you have information guilty. He's going to have 2 barrels staring down on him. Archive taking a little bit of damage from that grenade coming out from the window. More drones getting shot at, and as I was saying before, that information game is so crucial, and Rebuild are very, very good at minimizing the impact of that information so very early on. Time, once again, dwindling down. SPR scrambling a little bit to find something of this round still. Julio, again, on the castle barricade, wasting so much time trying to pick up something from that. Maiko does take down Bardozer with that very, very good Frost AR. Charlie J in the meantime picking up 2 of his own. Julio does find him through the wall with a little bit of a pixel peek, but now he's all on his own with just a sliver of HP, and it's Maiko from a long angle. That Frost AR just doing so wow, what a shot. Doing so much damage without even having to use Frost utility, which is of course the welcome mats or the pog mats, however you want to call them, the bear traps. You deploy them down, attacker jumps into them, their legs get cut off. Of course, in the next season that is coming out in the coming weeks, we will be seeing Frost with a completely new rework, and she's going to be working completely differently.
Protect your bomb.
I guess as Happy Say the line. I'm not entirely sure what line they're referring to. Typically that refers to whether or not a game will be streamed, and it's when players are very confident that their team has important enough or relevant enough to be streamed. I'm not really sure what that means right now, but I guess we're just gonna. Oh, I see. I don't. I feel like that's an inside joke that I'm missing. Anyway, but we do see Rebuild as they won their primary and their secondary site defense. Go to the tertiary site defense, which will be bar stage. A lot of the time, we might see CCTV and cache be that tertiary site. The Rebuild are saying nay, nay, and they are going for bar stage instead, which of course tends to be a bit of an enigma for attackers, as it's still a fairly new site to attack. You oftentimes won't even see it get brought because, you know, sometimes it won't even get to a point where they've won both their primary and their secondary site defense. But also, just as much as a lot of teams don't know how to attack it, a lot of teams don't even know how to defend it yet. But it doesn't look like that is a problem that Rebuild are finding, and Charlie J is trying to go for a little bit of a play here with the Echo. And of course, that could be so much easier if he went through the hatch from Strip Club. That's usually where you see that play with the Echo, but he's decided to go for a bit more of a risky one as he risks losing that Echo drone early on from the drone hall instead. But, you know, it works, as it, of course, does give them a lot of information, and it actually works to confuse the attackers a little bit. As you saw, Julio was looking around trying to see where am I getting spotted from, and he could see that strip hatch was soft, so he can't even predict, oh, it's the Echo drone coming up from strip. It's completely a complete mystery to him, and with these construction walls into Logi being opened up as well, that's going to leave a bit of a gap and a bit of a sightline here for the defense. It's a bit of a glitch there from the bed onto that shield. Oh, wow, what a swing there from Jag. Unfortunately, doesn't get enough of Archive to pick up the kill. That shield does get destroyed, but look at the time. It's dwindling down. Maika finds the kill onto Meep. That's going to make it so much harder, especially as that's now the IQ off the board. Those Valkyrie cameras, as well as those Echo drones, will be staying in place. Archive, poorly cooked grenade, he runs away from it, but he goes down anyway. Guilty and Julia both pick up a piece, leaving Charlie J and Nelson, the two camera operatives, to try and win this round. We've seen Nelson go absolutely insane off of that bottom main stairs hold. We've seen him have 2Ks, 3Ks, even 4Ks, nearly an ace before from that exact position, not even moving. He has relocated, however, all the way to secret stairs, and he could be finding a kill onto Bardozer. That wall open. Nelson does find a kill onto Bardozer, just as I was saying. He finds another one onto Guilty, and Charlie J now all the way inside of Strip, still completely uncontested and untouched. Will be holding quite a far and away angle. Julio picks up Nelson, finally picking up that trade and refrag, leaving Charlie J on his own. But, of course, Charlie J is the Echo, so he could be going for a Hail Mary post-plant, or rather plant denial game here. He is being stared down by Jack, who knows exactly where he is. One of those Echo drones will be moving in. Will he have time? He will have time, and he gets it! Oh, if Jack only knew how close he was to him and to getting that kill, or maybe if he knew that staying inside of bar would have been the better call, as he would have been able to shoot that drone. Either way, SPR are going to be kicking themselves, as that was absolutely their round to win. They were in a 4 versus 2, and then they had no flank watcher. If they did, they didn't take advantage of it, and they they just let Nelson walk up and kill a couple of their teammates, and that brought it down to a 2 versus 2. Just weren't able to do anything with it. Observer Happy joking a little bit. Charlie toggle off, as he is currently the player with the highest kill count. Everyone else is either on 2, 3, or 0, and then he's there doubling up on the highest second kill count with 6 of his own, and bringing that TCSG again, which we've already seen him go crazy with that gun. I mean, it's a slug shotgun. It's the tug. It's the TCSG. It packs a punch. It didn't used to get brought out this much. It's more so the meta of the game changing to be a little bit more frag heavy and to be a little bit more distance than we normally would have been used to. I think if you go back, watch esports from a couple years ago, you definitely will be seeing a lot more of that AUG, and especially back in those days, The AUG was a little bit better. It hit a little bit more. It was a little bit faster, especially with that angle grip. It had the 1.5. There was a lot of reasons to bring it, but since then it has been nerfed, and people realized, hey, I don't need to bring this pretty bad gun and rely on pretty bad enemies to walk into my pretty bad gun so that I could get a pretty not that great kill. They just realized, how about I just bring the Tug Tug, the TCSG, the absolute monster of a weapon, get every single kill possible, all the while not even taking any damage because they cannot see me because I'm 3 miles away. But in any case, SPR from 3 miles away will be trying to go and open up this hatch, tricking, of course, or counter-tricking, rather, the Cade, of course, using 2 pellets at a time. Again, another one of those things that a couple years ago just wasn't a thing. And as they find the Cade Claw from a far right pellet, they will be going for opening up the hatch. And Meep picks up the first kill into Archive from those vertical angles. Or is he actually in sight? Wait, where's Meep? I think Meep was actually in sight. Charlie picks him up. It's guilty with the trade, or the refrag, rather. Jag picks up another one. C4 will be going out. Won't catch anybody as nobody drops that hatch. 2 versus 4. Again here for SPR. Same players as well. They find Nelson, who's taking a lot of damage as well, having to relocate all the way inside the gen. Charlie J, with that gun that I spoke of just a second ago, pushing up to the short hallway, trying to find something from there. Flashes are coming out. They're looking for a hatch drop here. 70 seconds. They have more than enough time, more than enough information, and more than enough players to actually pull this off. There goes the perfect 3-way cross, and there goes another swing from Guilty to pick up the final kill of the round. Put a round on the board finally for SPR, and they're starting to close that gap a little by little. Rebuild have put themselves or secure themselves at least an even split so far on this half, which is really, really good because when they go to attack, it's not going to be easy sailing as it has been so far. It's going to be very, very difficult. It's going to take a lot of work. So, again, all to play for still. And it's going to be ever so more interesting once we see that side switch and see what SPR can do on a defensive side of Clubhouse against a very aggressive team. But now they are going back to that basement defense, which they won very, very securely, very confidently. It wasn't even close. And it was, again, off the back of Hudson and Maiko's roam. And curiously, they have completely switched up the roles. Normally, you will always see Maiko playing the Wamai, and you will see Hudson playing the Solace. But now, they've decided, you know what? Let's try and switch it out. Let's try and not do that. Let's play it differently. And I really wonder how that's going to look, because this is actually really confusing my brain a little bit on like a psychological level. Like, I know that what I'm seeing is true, but my brain is telling me that it's wrong because that's just not the way that it's looked before. So it's a little bit of a mind game. I don't know if they're trying to play mind games here, but a round has begun. Attackers droning out as much of the map as possible, making a little bit of a mistake of droning themselves in. We do see the Yana and I think the Sledge or the Dokubi both droning themselves in, which is a mistake that you don't really want to be making. You want to be pushing in behind a drone as a live player, because then the drone can give the call, hey, there's a player here, kill him, and then you do. But of course, it also wastes far less time because you can't really just drone the room that you're going into, because then you can just get swung from the room right next to you. You have to drone a couple rooms ahead, but that leaves you a little bit vulnerable to losing a player just from, you know, you drone out a room, it's clear. You drone out the next room, that's clear. You drone out the third room, by that time, clear from the second room, has walked into the first room, you die as soon as you walk in. You just weren't prepared for it. Hatch will get opened up inside of kitchen, or maybe not. They're still using only 2 pellets at a time. It will get opened up now, and Meep finds the first one at the Charlie J with a frag grenade from at the bottom of the main stairs. That's a very, very important kill. Taking off the top fragger from their braces. Minute 15 to go, still more than enough time as those logic bombs get deployed as well. They have all of their players in position to go for a perfect execute here. Still droning out, making sure that they don't have anybody to worry about from above. Julia picking up one onto very aggressive Hudson. Me picking up Maiko. Me picking up Archive as well. Nelson does find one through the hatch, denies the flawless. Diffuser getting placed down as Jag all the way from inside of Church Dirt, I meant. With that DMR, picking up the final one. And SBR are really starting to close it out. Rebuild, taking a timeout, realizing, okay, we had a 3-0 lead. What happened to it? Why are we now losing rounds? Why are we losing rounds on our most... Wake up. Oh, that's mean. What are you saying that to Archive? Although we don't really want to bully Archive. Archive already feels quite a lot of pressure. It's something that a lot of people feel when they're on stream. If you look at statistically, Archive is not as bad of a player as a lot of his streamed games would let you believe. Even though he is on that entry frag role, so people can have off days, and especially on stream, there's a lot of really weird pressure. I think people expect it from T1 players that are playing on the main stage of a major. They're thinking, oh, that's gonna be so nerve-wracking, but no one really considers that any amount of audience at any level can bring that same amount of pressure to you. So it's definitely something that a lot of people struggle with, and for some people it shows in different ways. And unfortunately, a lot of players throughout the league and throughout esports in general will unfortunately suffer that in the way of not getting as many kills, and then that works on them even more, because then it builds up, and it's like, okay, well, I didn't get kills because there's an audience, because I'm getting streamed, and then, oh no, I'm doing so badly, I'm not getting any kills, and then they do even worse because they're so in their head. So the mental game is so big in Siege, and that's why I always say, whenever teams take a timeout, a lot of the time the IGL or the coach or the analyst won't be taking a timeout because something is going wrong and they need to fix it. Like, you're making mistakes, you're doing this, you're doing that. A lot of times it's not even about that, because a lot of the time the players themselves will be aware of that. They'll be sometimes even hyper aware of it, which will then force them to make even more mistakes because they're trying to fix the first ones, which makes them make new ones. So a lot of the times it will end up being just, boys, take a breather. It's not the end of the world. Just take a breather. You're better than them. You can win these rounds. I mean, if you've seen any game from G2 at either SI or the Copenhagen Major, and you heard Fabian and the way that he talks to his players, that is basically the core of it, is he will say, boys, you're better, just win. And the next round, they'll win, because they needed that headspace cleared, and they needed to just get back into it mentally. And it really just goes to show how big that is at really any level of esports. But with 30 seconds of the round gone, they're making quick work of these breaches, or not so quick after all, as it does get impact tricked by Archive, the Wumai, making sure that they don't actually get as much of an advantage into those areas as they would probably want to meet. With a frag grenade from below, will catch Charlie J first with a frag grenade to get him down, and then finds the finisher himself, taking the mute off the board and slowly diminishing these defenses on that extended roam, which you've already spoken about how strong that extended roam is, because it gives you so much more map control, which forces the attackers to gain all of that map control. Typically, if you just bunker into sight, well, then you could just get surrounded from all sides. They break open the hatch, they break open the jacuzzi while they're pushing up the main stairs and pushing up the construction, and that is gone very, very quickly. But if you, from the get-go, take a lot of that map control, then forces them to take it back, and it wastes a lot of time, which then forces them into your gunfights instead. Maika took a lot of damage here from the hatch, but is still standing as we see that clock hit 70 seconds. SBR still trying to get into the map, still gaining a lot of this map control, still trying to find their entries into sight. Those Candelas are coming out. It looks like this is going to be their entry, as Sledge, which is in. Archive holding on to that.
Drop the bomb.
Wow, what a swing. Taking down Guilty. That's the ace off the board. Meep finds another one. Julio with the follow-up. Nelson is there to find the one onto Meep, but he immediately gets shot down by Jag inside of construction, or inside of Ludgy. In fact, the diffuser will be going down again. Hudson just lagging a little bit here. His ping skyrocketing, doubling even. Plant now down 1 versus 3. Julio's on a very low HP. He could still do this. Doing a little bit of dance here versus Bardozer. Oh, checking that corner, very, very clever. Unfortunately, there was no one there, and what would have been a very free and easy kill wasn't anything. He does find Julio, the very low HP player. One still on top of the main stairs, one still on the other side of the map. Jag will push up those main stairs as he tries to go for the diffuser, or tries to bait that diffuser. Jag will finally find him from the main stairs, shut him down. Another round going to SBR. They equalize the score count as we see the side switch on even ground. 3-3. It's a wild one. It is a wild, wild one. If we see another 3-3 split, you know what that means. Match point. That's not what that means. Technically it does, but I meant overtime. I meant overtime, not match point. I meant overtime, which we haven't seen too much of so far in these close qualifiers. We didn't see it at all throughout open qualifiers. 19 games of open quals. Not a single overtime on stream. There were a couple off stream, but 19 games streamed, not a single overtime. We get into the close quals. First game of the close quals, we get an overtime. Second game of close quals, overtime. Back-to-back overtimes. We had a couple since then, but we haven't had one in a while. I think all of those overtimes were in round 1 and 2, maybe 3, but we definitely didn't see one in round 4, and we haven't seen one in round 5 either yet. So I'm hoping that, and I mean, what kind of a story would that be? Two teams battling to see who is going to knock who out from the Premier League. Final game of the qualifiers. Overtime. Give me a better story. You literally can't. It's perfect. It is actually perfect. But now, SBR are on the defensive side. They've decided to go for that CCTV site, which we've started to see die out quite a bit. A lot of teams have been foregoing this site and trying to find some strats on that barn stage. You will very rarely see this site get played in recent times, just because of how overplayed it got. But Charlie J taking down Meep, getting down in the process, but he will be able to safely fall off of that roof and get picked up, or off of that slab concrete area. He will get picked up, which means that Rebuild remain in control, or rather in the man advantage, at least for now. Archive, Mako, and Nelson all pushing from the western side, from that construction bedroom side. All of the soft construction, soft breaches there. Jag, what a swing, taking down Archive. He knows there's another one. Swinging just a little bit. Ego peeking here onto Nelson. He won't be finding anything. Will pull back. Decides it's not worth his time. It's not worth his death. He will be pulling back. Nelson will be getting shortly joined here by Hudson, who's going to try and open up the construction wall. Or rather, he's going to be rotating away to inside of construction, realizing, well, you know, we have Ludgy. We can just go from there. We don't really need to open up that wall and waste a little bit of utility. That cash wall got opened up as well in the meantime, and now a lot of this pressure will be coming from inside of construction. Jag, what a beautiful shot, taking down Charlie J, leaving them even more wounded, as Hudson is on about 50 HP, but it doesn't matter as he finds Bardozer anyway. But there goes Jag again, taking down a third, setting himself up for an ace here. Maiko, completely unnoticed and undetected, walks up the red stairs, denies the ace, and denies the life as well of Jag. Leaves them in a 2 versus 2, 25 seconds to go, picks up the diffuser. It's Nelson, but Guilty is there to find him. Maiko in a 1 versus 2 is going to have to find both of these players to try and win this round. He finds one. Can he find the final one? He jumps into the window, pre-fires a little bit, gives away his position, tries to run to right, but Maiko's there to find him. Rebuild, retake the lead in their first attacking round. Oh, that was a bit of a misplay there. He didn't need to run. Matter of fact, he didn't need to jump into that window at all. He could have stayed up there on those rafters. Maiko didn't have the diffuser, and even if he picked it up, from there, you can easily hear a plant going down inside of Cash, and you could try to bait out that final player, especially with that time being so low. He only had about 15 seconds at that point. Very, very unlucky. Maiko tied with me. What? Who is? Oh, guilty? I guess so. That was amazing. That was amazing. That was brilliant. That was very, very funny. For those of you who missed it, Observer Happy for a split moment did block one of the players. In his defense, before anybody tries to go all warrior on that, the controls for observing are a little bit janky, and I know that in the past, whenever I was spectating, I definitely have blocked a couple of people that I didn't have to unblock, just because sometimes they do get a little bit weird. A lot of them don't make a whole lot of sense for controller, for observer specifically, but you know, I'm not gonna question it too much. It's easily undone decision, and it does lead to some funny moments like that, especially when it happens on stream. It's very, very funny. But in any case, 40 seconds off the clock already. Rebuild. Quite a quick entrance into the dirt tunnel, and this could be a bit of a rush, especially as they have that Ying on the board. It doesn't look like it's going to be a rush necessarily, as they are still trying to be a little bit smart about this, still trying to get that hatch open, and Bardo will be trying to trick that with his clock here, and he will manage to do it. Oh no, Nelson was not prepared for that. Neither was the factor of Charlie J, who hits the window frame, bounces the EMP off of it. Oh, and a C4 picks up Charlie J from below, through those holes, thread the needle, find the kill. Was it, or did he already walk inside? I thought that would have been... Oh, but Nelson is the next one to go down. Is that vertical kill? I'm not really even sure, but here we go. Thread and the needle will be... Bardo? Yeah. I don't know, someone is threading the needle, misses unfortunately, or that would have been an instant kill for sure. Archive now rotating inside of dirt, trying to find something here. Minute to go. 3 versus 5. It's doable, but it's also difficult. Maiko does find one onto guilty. Archive rolling one of those candelas through, or under the door rather. Trying to distract from the push that's happening still on the side of main stairs, but Jack does find Maiko on those main stairs anyway. Archive and Hudson now joining each other again as they were separated for a little bit. Archive does find Meep. Another good opening here, leaving them at a 2 versus 3. Similar to 3 versus 5. Very, very doable. But that time is dwindling down. They have very limited information. Limited utility, although they still have all of these candelas, so this could still work, especially as the warden is now dead. But it's going to be difficult. Archive does find one at the Julio. He's a little bit too aggressive. Through the smoke, they can't see. They can't find anything. The plant is going down. Bardo's just trying to find something. Finds quite a lot of Archive, and he will finish him up, but that plant is now down. Oh no, Hudson goes down from the prone angle at the bottom of those main stairs. Jag, absolutely beautiful, beautiful finisher to close that round, equalize the scoreline, and oh my goodness, after those first 3 rounds that went to rebuild, we have been back to back to back to back to back. Zigzag all over the place. 4 rounds apiece. Could we see overtime? Again, what a story that would be. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane scenes. Everyone's in shambles. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Could you imagine if this match started like super late and then it like finished like minutes before midnight and that was like the final match to decide the standings? The dream of that. Round 15, 1-1 post plant pistol whip. I will forever say that is my favorite way for a round to finish, for a game to finish rather. Like, just any game that finishes in overtime is already great. If it's more than a best of one, that only amplifies it. But just imagine best of 5, round 15, post plant, 1v1 pistol whip. Literally could not imagine a better finisher, but unfortunately, best of 5s are so far away. They're going to be happening all the way in August when we see the playoffs of Season 2. So if you want to see some best of 5s, well, better stay tuned throughout the season, as those are going to be quite exciting, as they were last season as well. Rebuild making quick work of using a lot of this drone utility, but also wasting it in the process. Of course, they did find out quite a bit of information that they wanted, but unfortunately they lost the drones quite early on, which, at this point, they don't really have a player to follow up on the information gained, so they're not going to be able to utilize those drones later on when they are able to. And while I was talking, Jag, again, just getting so aggressive, picking up a kill onto Maiko. That's the Yana off the board. Any of those vertical grenades that were so fruitful before will not be doing any damage to SBR at this time. Hudson trying to open up this garage wall to try and maybe gain another avenue of entry from down in there. Charlie J on the highway outside of CCTV and construction window trying to find another entry through there. Meanwhile, the rest of his teammates still trying to find out as much information as possible, still trying to find some heads, still trying to find some way to win this round. 96 to go. That wall does get opened up. It looks like they're going to start trying to act on this information that they have. That diffuser, they keep dropping and picking it up. I'm not really sure where it is at the moment. I hope it's not stuck up on the roof. Is that's going to... Yeah, it is. Charlie J forced to go back up to get it as SPR takes care of Nelson, leaving them once again in a 3 versus 5. They brought it back to 1 versus 1 last time around, and this could be the start of it again as Charlie J picks up guilty. First line of defense here for the side of SPR. Another aggression coming out from Neep. Getting a little bit of damage, but unfortunately, missing just missing the tip of his head is is Hudson. Meep will find the kill. Charlie J alone now as the rest of his teammates get absolutely decimated. 1 versus 2. It's doable. 40 seconds to go. Smoke Babe will get deployed on that door, but it's Julia from inside of CCTV, or actually all the way from the rafters. Punch hole as well. I mean, that's just dirty. Picking up the kill, picking up the round as well. SPR, for the first time in this matchup, take the lead at 5-4. I'm not saying anything anymore. They're going gym bedroom. They're deciding to go gym bedroom as their secondary site pick. Oh, I was about to say, why are we pausing? But I did not realize. Oh no, goodness, no. They might need a rehost. Always very, very unfortunate when that happens. You really want to see that. Guilty, unfortunately, having a bit of connectivity issues. Really unfortunate. I mean, if we check the scoreboard right now, how it works. Okay, cool. Okay. I don't really know what's going on in chat. I probably shouldn't focus on that at all, as it's not relevant at all to what's happening. But of course, despite this not being an actual timeout, it can act as one. it can act as one because both teams are going to get the chance to discuss what's going on. I don't know if I don't think we have any rules against whether they could talk to their coach or whatever. That's obviously something that's very, very strictly regulated in the in T1 esports and probably in T2 as well. But of course, all the way down here in T4, I don't think we are as strict about that. But in any case, even whether they can talk to their coach or not, they are still able to talk between each other. They're still able to consult with their IGL. They're still able to consult with each other, and they're still able to talk, whether that is about the round that's just passed or how they're gonna go on with the next round. Especially if you're attack. I mean, having more time to discuss your attack is never bad. It is literally never bad. It is so good to have more time to discuss everything that you need to do and everything that, especially if you're trying to attack a site that you've already tried to attack and failed, then having more time to discuss that, okay, these are the changes that we are making. This is why we're making them, and this is why they're going to work. Very, very useful to get that time from technical pauses like this. And it's definitely something that's going to work in Rebuild's favor, as the attacking teams, of course, SVR are definitely going to be benefiting from it as well, although maybe slightly less as they're trying to, scramble around, figure what's going on with Guilty, and hopefully they're going to be able to get him back in time, and, there might be a little bit of stress and pressure there, but they're still going to be able to take advantage of this pause now and discuss, okay, this is a new set that we're going to. We haven't gone here yet. We don't really know how it plays. And we're going to have to just figure it out as we go. Of course, they went to the basement. They went to CCTV. And now they're going to gym and bedroom to see how that plays out, where that goes. And that could be another... Actually, they did go here, but they lost it. If my memory serves me correctly. Oh, no, that wasn't. The round that was lost on gym and bedroom that I'm remembering was round 6, which was Rebuild's final defensive round, and it was one that SPR won in quite the confident fashion. So hopefully they have the same amount of luck defending this side as they did attacking it. Of course, I can't really see what Guilty would be bringing right now, as he is not in the lobby at the moment, but from the rest of the team, we can tell that this is a pretty information-heavy lineup. Bring in the Valkyrie, bring in the Alibi, making sure that they have as much information as possible, and then, of course, bringing the Cade and the Jaeger to try and protect from any of those projectile utility coming out, like those frag grenades, which have already been so deadly coming up from Rebuild, but also bringing that Cade to deny that wall getting opened up, or to, at the very least, delay it. A lot of the time when you are playing hard breach denial, your main goal isn't always to make sure that they don't open it. That might be, the desired results, the one that you're going for. It's like, okay, if I get that, I have done my job, I've won the round, I'm perfect, sitting pretty. But that doesn't always have to be what you're going for. A lot of the times, teams will just finally Guilty does return, so we will be seeing the round resume soon here. But a lot of the time when you're playing at a hard breach denial, it is also about just wasting as much time as possible. However much time that the attackers take to breach your wall because you're tricking them either with a bandit or a Cade or a mute, or even impact tricking it, however long that takes, or however much utility you manage to waste with that, greatly impacts the round, even if you don't manage to, quote-unquote, win as the breach denier just because you failed to trick the breach. That's something I feel like a lot of people get a little bit lost in that, in whether that's, in ranked stacks all across the board, or even in comp games. And a lot of times, people in chat will be like, oh, he failed the bandit trick, Okay, yeah, he failed the bandit trick, but how much time is there on the board? Is there 2.5 minutes, or is there 30 seconds? Because there's a huge difference. And, you might fail quote unquote the trick, but it could still be so detrimental to the enemy team. And as we see Guilty return to us without needing to do a rehost, thank God. Guilty does switch or does pick onto the Legion, further increasing that intel gain from SPRs, of course. Those goo mines, very, very loud and very obnoxious sound cue for defenders. Somebody walks into them, you hear it. Oh, that's on main stairs. Let me just swing and get a headshot real quick. A very, very good piece of utility, and it's one of the reasons why Legion has actually brought quite a lot. Unfortunately, we do not have, or do not keep track, rather, of pick rates in the league as of yet. But if we did, you would see Legion at a quite high spot. And Archive picking up the first kill into Meep in an early engagement I did not expect. I was expecting an early engagement coming out here from Guilty. I'm still not sure where he found that, really. He drops from the roof onto the highway. A couple bullets flying past his head, wasting that grenade in the ADS. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Is it's not just information, but it's also projectile denial or utility denial in general. Charlie J finds another one onto Julio, waking up again as he went to sleep for a couple of rounds. Let the rest of his team do the work, and now he's back again. It is a bit of a teamwork coming up from Charlie J and Nelson to open up this wall. Charlie J getting very, very aggressive, already pushing in through the jacuzzi wall. He's already inside of sight. Jag inside of Logic could be the next one contesting here from that push. But Nelson is already inside of sight, going for that plant. Guilty taking so much damage trying to contest against that. Jag finds Thermite on the rotate bag, but his teammates all fall down like dominoes, and now it's Jag in a 1 versus 2 trying to salvage something of this round. Luckily for him, Hudson is all the way on the opposite end of the map. If he could find the kill here onto Archive, this could be very, very close here for him. He will try to go for the stick. Oh, that frag grenade will be also close to him. Won't find the kill, but does do a little bit of damage. And it's Hudson. Go up from behind, find the kill, finish the job, rebuild, equalize the scoreline yet again. Not letting SPR take a long lead with this at all. They had the longest lead in this game for the first 3 rounds, then SPR brought it back, and since then it's just been back and forth for both of these teams. And I, for one, am very excited, as heading into round 11 now means that we will see all 12 rounds of regulation, and I don't think that I'm crazy for thinking that we'll be seeing overtime. I really would not put it past either of these teams. We've seen both of them bring it to overtime. We've seen both of them win it in overtime. It could seriously happen here again. And I know that I said I wouldn't say it again, because I know that I'm going to jinx it, I'm going to cast or curse it, but at this point, I don't think that it's possible for me to, just because of how perfectly matched up these teams are, and that is what really puts into perspective how close they were in those standings. If you remember at the beginning of the game when I said that these are the 6th and 8th place teams, so all is on the line for them, and this is exactly why. And to see either of these teams get knocked out now and get all the way down into the Alpha League would be quite a shame, just from how well they've played all throughout these qualifiers, especially all throughout close qualifiers. Again, I mentioned it was a little bit rough there for SPR, but they brought it back. They fixed a lot of those mistakes. They worked on themselves and they got better, and they're here now, and it would be such a shame to lose them. But at the same time, Rebuild have been playing near flawlessly for the entire run, and it would be a shame to lose them as well. It really sucks when it comes down to games like this, where it's, two quote-unquote bottom place teams going up against each other, where one of them will knock out the other, and, you'll be missing both of them in the regular season. 45 seconds gone. Charlie J trying to challenge onto these vertical angles and trying to maybe keep Bardo from going for that trick onto the hatch again. But Maiko finds the first one onto Julio. Julio again being so unlucky to be the first death Those grenades are coming flying. Bardo will be trying to hold on to this hatch for as long as is possible. Oh, he might even find a kill here onto Archive. And here we go, threading the needle through these bars. He goes for that C4, but throws it just a second too late. By this point, Archive had vacated the freezer. It runs away safely. Nelson's still trying to open up this hatch. And he will not find success. I don't even know what killed it this time. Was it the claw? Did he really deploy it that quickly? Wow. But they will be trying to go for it again. And again, he tricks it. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. That is Bardo being an absolute menace right now to Rebuild, not letting them do anything they want to do. Every time they want to do something fun, he makes it not that way. Really, really unfortunate. This is exactly what I'm always saying. Meep goes down. Very far and away angle. Not really even sure where he went down from. But he does go down. Gets safely picked up. They're looking to try and go for a sneak attack or a quick attack here up that hatch or down that hatch. Mako finds another one. Jag opens up that door a little bit more. Hudson is down but not out on top of the hatch. He is retrievable, but I'm not sure if that's something that they're going to try and go for. It is, as they do pick him up. Charlie J finds one. Charlie J finds a second at DMR, same as that TCSG in the first few rounds. Going absolutely crazy, but it's Nelson and Meep. Oh, it's Nelson and Meep. Nelson picks up a couple. Meep picks up a couple. There was a TK coming out as well. And, ladies and gentlemen, it's round 12. Rebuild are on match point. SBR have got to win this round. Not because I'm biased toward them, but because I'm biased towards overtime. I love overtime games. I want to see this go to overtime. I think it would be really not the funnest if the final game of the close qualifiers or of the qualifier round as a whole, if that would, or the qualifying phase rather, let's call it that, if that would end on a 7-5 closeout. Not to diminish the absolute beautiful siege that SBR have played to put themselves 5 rounds, or to put 5 rounds on the board and to put themselves only 1 round behind Rebuild at the moment, but I'm just saying, it would leave me feeling a little bit disappointed to end the qualifying phase in that way. But what I was going to say before all of that action interrupted me is that Bardo, they're denying that hatch from getting open for so long, despite Rebuild winning the round, from sheer willpower of just rushing down those stairs and picking up the kills. It really shows that just because you aren't getting those kills doesn't mean that you aren't useful to the team. I think that's something that a lot of people get, they get bogged down on the details and on the kills, and they just forget that there's so much nuance and so much utility in Siege. And Bardo, I mean, he kept tricking that hatch. I mean, that type of utility usage cannot be denied. And now Hudson is causing not only a little bit of trouble here for Julia the Wamai playing atop those rafters, but is also causing a bit of distraction as well, as it leaves Archive also a zone to open up that garage wall and give another sight into the bomb site. Playing behind that Monty now, who is just trying to waste a little bit more of this utility, just walking into the school mines, walking back out of them, walking in that door, walking out of it. Guilty finds the first one onto Maiko. That's going to be a huge kill as they pick off that backside push from the Iana. Hudson walks into that ghoul mines, taking a little bit of damage. Julio behind the shield will find Nelson. Rebuild slowly falling apart here. Julia trying to find a second one, or a third one rather, onto the Capital as well. And it's Meep and Guilty to clean it all up. SBR flawless round to not only win the round, but to put us into overtime. I am so excited about this. This is the greatest way that this could possibly end. This is the greatest way this could possibly end. I'm so excited about this. I don't think you guys are quite comprehending how excited this makes me. Rebuild on attack. again. So that means that we will not be seeing their defense again, which they won 3 times in a row and then lost 3 times in a row, all the way back in the first half. Their attack has been a lot more fruitful for the most part. Are they going to be able to replicate that again from a couple rounds previous, or are they going to get shut down, especially on the CCTV site, which SPR are picking onto for a reason? That reason being, we simply don't lose. You can put that in quotation marks. You can quote SPR on that one. I guarantee you they will not be mad, because I do believe that is what their slogan is for this site. When somebody asks them, hey, why do you play CCTV on Clubhouse, on Match Point, or rather on Overtime when it's all to play for? We simply don't lose. All in unison at the same time, very loudly and obnoxiously. That is exactly what they say. Ask anybody, that is exactly what happens. Jag was getting a little bit aggressive. They're trying to go for Spunky from Secret. Will not find anything but Meep, Guilty, and Jag now fully prepared for another. Wow, what a run-up from Jag. This one will find Nelson's head. That's the Thatcher off the board. Unlucky for SPRs, this time they aren't bringing a Bandit or a Cade to really minimize Rebuild's attacking power here, but still losing a man and losing a Thatcher who is going to be crucial, clearing out a lot more of his utility. But there they go, just rushing at the side. But Charlie J takes out Julio. Jag is there with the follow-up onto Charlie J. Candelas is coming out. Smoke grenades are coming out. Meat finds one to Hudson. Archive and Maiko trying to win this round from a 2 versus 4. Flint will go down, or will not go down, as Guilty finds him. Finds Maiko. Archive on a sliver of HP. You don't see people be this low without being dead very often. Diffuser is lost inside of sight. They're all waiting for him from a boat position. It will be Meep to find the final kill. SBR put themselves on overtime match point. Rebuild have got to win it all here. As I keep saying, either of these teams can get knocked out here very easily, including Rebuild, who currently do hold the higher place in the league or in the standings. Either of these teams could get knocked out here should they lose this matchup, and Rebuild are looking worse for wear, at least for now. They're going back to that Church and Arsenal site. We have not seen them defend in 7 rounds. They lost 3 in a row. They won 3 in a row. They lost 3 in a row. This is their strongest site ever. This is a site that they, as I said for SBR, for CCTV, this is a site that they do not lose. Most of the time. Because they did lose it before. They're going to have to win it now. They've reversed back onto Hudson playing the Solus, Micah playing the Wamai. They're going back for that very, very extended roam all the way inside of Garage. It is a deadly one. It is something that teams do not like facing against. And it's something that will grant them a kill pretty much every single time that they are ever going for it. So, can they actually achieve it again? Hudson, a quick work of destroying as much of this drone utility as possible. 3 of those drones in the prep phase, 3 out of 5 that you get in the prep phase, gone. This is a big round here for Rebuild. They're going to have to win every single gunfight here, every single engagement. They're going to have to win on the Cade trick just as well. This is all to play for. This is for whether or not they stay standing in the Premier League. Whether or not they get a chance to play in the playoffs against Champion League teams. And oh my goodness, a trade immediately comes out. Meep does take Maiko, but Hudson on that roam is there, getting droned out. How ironic that it's the Solus that is getting droned out so heavily, unable to find those drones. Running around still inside of that cash room. Minute gone by, 4 versus 4. They lost a player from that roam. Oh my goodness, Julio finds a follow-up, but the Charlie J, as Hudson is put onto such a low HP from a vertical grenade coming out from Meep. Push looks to be coming down from the blue stairs as well as the main stairs. They're still hunting Hudson down. They might just find him here. as we see Meat push up main stairs. He shoots that cam, lets Hudson know that he's coming for him. Hudson getting a little bit aggressive here on those stairs as well. Nelson trying to find something. He knows there's a player inside a short. Archive finds the kill on the guilty, but Meep is there to follow up with the Hudson. It's the roamer now off the board, and now it's all down to Nelson and Archive. We've seen them in these positions before. Nelson holding onto that TC, or actually that's the Vector, never mind, I thought he was holding onto the TCSG that packs such a big punch. We've already spoken about it at length. Those Vulcan canisters deploying on those stairs is going to give them a lot of breathing room, but those flashes are going to distract them a little bit. Archive taking so much damage, finds the kill onto the planter is Nelson. Julio dropping down the hatch as well. Me finding the kill onto Archive, and it's Julio with the final one onto Nelson. Oh my goodness. SPR in overtime match point win the game and win the matchup. What a game that was. What a game on Clubhouse that was. An unbelievably beautiful, beautiful game. It had everything. It had disconnects. It had flawlesses. It had back-to-back to back-to-back. It had overtime. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful game. I mean, I loved it. I really, truly loved that. And as we are checking the live scores, can't see them yet. I'm not sure. Again, there's still a few games to play out that could very well impact where these teams actually end up placing. Because, of course, we still have a few of those games to play out today. And it is all going to come down to, how those turn out. All of that could still impact whether or not Rebuild and SPR end up in the Premier League. And we do get the final scores, and I was wrong. I had my math wrong. Although, again, there's still a game that could impact these scores. But as we check the final live scores right now, fresh information, Rebuild 7th, SBR 4th. That means both of these teams end up in Premier League. That means both of these teams are going to be competing against each other in the Premier League. And actually, as we see, the final game that will be going on between REH Gaming and Oblivion XC will not be impacting those standings at all. So these are the final standings for the Premier League. It goes from 1st to 8th. 5 stars, Mindset Gaming, War Dogs, Shortest Possible Route, Guardians Alpha, Budapest 5, Rebuild, Coffee and Esports, and that finishes it. Coffee and Esports are the final team to make it into the Premier League. Oh, actually. Whoa, really? Oh, I did not. Oh, yeah, because of the round difference, right? Or because of the tiebreaker. So, the tiebreaker, I missed that information. Oblivion XC could still make it into the Premier League, but they will be knocking out Coffee. And so, regardless of that game, SPR and Rebuild are both safely through to the Premier League. So that is a very, very exciting game that we just got to see. Beautiful, beautiful game. I will not be... What? Oh, yeah, I was going to say, well, before you interrupted me, I was going to say it. I was going to say that I don't want to keep you around for too long and I want to get MVP, and then half you interrupted me. You can't hear him, but I can. Anyway, MVP, I think without a shadow of a doubt, it has to be Jag. Meep did creep up on kills toward the end of the game, rather. But Jag was just there in and out, constantly getting those kills, and they were very, very impactful kills as well. Constantly there swinging the tide, making sure the Rebuild can't get anything on them. And he was undoubtedly a very, very crucial part in winning this game for SPR. So he's the one that gets not only the MVP, but the final MVP of the qualifier phase. That closes out not just this game, not just this stream, but as I keep saying, the qualifier phase. The next time that you see us, it will be a brand new league that you will be seeing. It will be the Champions League, most likely, and that is going to be a whole other set of exciting, as it is the Tier 1, we'll call it that, the Tier 1 league of Revival League. Which is so exciting. We got to see it all last season, although there are some new faces, some new teams, It's all going to be very, very exciting, so make sure that you stay tuned for all of those games. In any case, I've been Retro. Observing for you was Happy. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a good night, and we will see you in the regular season. Bye-bye.